Let's get this party started, Hubert Lee.
It's Mind Types After Dark, and it's an open house.
Open house, and I had the most requests ever, by the way, for hey, I can't make it. It's 1 o'clock in the morning in my country. Da da da. Can you send me the recording? Da da da. I was like, sure, man. I sent messages to the team already. Please make sure all those people that requested the recording of this get it, because yes, it is Mind Types After Dark. We have a little bit more fun. And we have a little bit of a weird idea tonight that can serve every single person that catches this episode, this video or audio, depending on how you're listening to it. But Hubert, I'll let you take over, man. I know you like to run
Oh
these kind of
yeah,
things.
I just wanted to check in with you, make sure everything's okay. You're down in Florida. How was the weather? I know you've had a bit of rain. We're getting your leftover rain now, so
No, it was super crazy, but on both sides of Florida, the extremes missed it all. So where we are in far western Florida and southern Florida, Palm Beach and South, missed it. The middle of Florida, Orlando, all that area up to Jacksonville got smacked. And then, of course, it got worse up into Georgia. And now you're getting the leftovers or whatever. We over here, so I don't know if anybody knows this, what happens when there's a hurricane sucks all the juice out of the air. So because it's swirling, it sucks. It acts like a vortex and it sucks all the juice. So the pieces that are outside of the hurricane, the weather is stunning. There's not a cloud in the sky, zero. It is blue. Problem with that, Hubert, here, yesterday was the hottest day of the year. Heat index 120. I mean, you
wow.
walk outside, you're like smacked, right? And today was equally brutal, but we got nothing. Absolutely zero. Moved on ahead. Thank you very much. Bye. Hopefully we hit a lot more of these and none of something else.
Well, okay, so the theme for tonight's dad jokes, originally, of course, is the weather. So originally, let's open with this. Why do we never trust the weather?
Why is that?
Because it's always up in the air.
That's actually pretty good. I actually
Yeah,
like that one. All right, that's good.
there you go.
I'll
Okay.
take
All
that.
right. So let's jump into it, folks. It's Mind Types After Dark special session. We also promised the availability of Ridgely to discover your mind type. If you've never had your mind type discovered, we'll have Ridgely do a little introduction of the concepts of the mind types, basically what it is, why it's important, and particularly how it can be used in your marketing. But if you're interested in knowing, Ridgely has his little cards ready and he'll explain the 7 mind types and all of that. But if you are curious about what your mind type is, please raise your hand. I'm volunteering Ridgely on your behalf to help you discover your mind type. Are you up for that, Ridge?
100%. And I also want to do something kind of fun tonight. Uh, all of us from time to time have to make presentations about who we are and what we stand for. In other words, we have to sell ourselves. Reality is, you have to sell yourself to your kids every day that you're their parent. You have to sell yourself to your spouse or partner that you're their partner or spouse. You have to sell yourself to the marketplace on an ongoing basis. So, what if you tasked AI with helping you craft a spiel or a reel or a script about yourself?
That's
We're
awesome.
going to do that today. I'm going to I'm going to put myself on the hot seat, and we're going to craft that script based on what AI knows out there, that which is huge, obviously, and have some fun with it, because this is something that any of you can do. And if you're a coach, if you're a speaker, if you're a leader of some kind, if you're soliciting business from the outside, why in the world wouldn't you want to do that? And we're going to show you how to do it effectively so that you can do that for yourself. Dorina says, I just did that, LOL. Well, all
Oh,
right,
great.
Dorina, we'll see if I can maybe refine the process for you just a little bit. You're
That's
very, very
awesome.
smart. Dorina's a master like Hubert, so it's all good.
Great.
All
Okay,
right.
Rich, let's jump in. Give us the give us the lowdown on mind types. Show us your pretty little pictures. Just take us through the whole thing.
Yeah, no. So what we're going to do, I'm going to do it a little bit differently, just because if you've been around for a little while, it's always interesting to see how mind types work from different perspectives. Like, oh, wow. So yes, it's great for me to know about me, but if I know about me in relation to other mind types, and I know about them because of their mind type, then I have a real serious edge out there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take each mind type and then I'm going to contrast them back and forth, how they relate to each other, why it's so important to understand that, and how you can take advantage of this knowledge and information to create an incredible team, to build better relationships, to improve your communication. There's nothing but positive about this process. So we're going to start. If you haven't been around for a while, mind type number one is the giver. The giver is the person who loves to make a difference, to add value, to contribute in some way. Their superpower is causes. They're always involved in making causes of any kind, small or big, whether that's bringing coffee and donuts to the team at the office from Starbucks because it's cool, or changing the destiny of a nation, like my great friend Todd Rupert, who used to be the CEO of T. Rowe Price, right? So either way, that's what the giver does. The kryptonite of the giver is overcommitment, because they're so determined to influence others through their causes that they say yes to way too many things. They have a hard time with no, right? So they say yes to too many things. They end up really overcommitted. So that may be you. Let's put that aside for a second and talk about the connector. The connector is all about relationships, bonds, making sure that they really have that unity with the rest of the people around them. Trust is their superpower. Trust is everything to the connector, as a result of which they'll do so much to build trust that they do the extra, and end up wasting a lot of time and resources. Waste is the kryptonite of the connector. Okay, so these two mind types are emotionally based. So you would think that because they're emotionally based, they're the only two mind types that are emotionally based, that they would get along really well. Heart space right here. And the reality about that is not necessarily true. Because think about what the giver loves to do. The giver loves to make a difference, add value, says yes to way too many things. Overcommitment is the kryptonite of the giver. The connector is all about bonds and relationships. Trust is their superpower. Can you see how, if the giver says yes to too many things and overcommits and can't deliver, they're going to cause a conflict with the connector that's all about trust. So actually, this is not even close to a match made in heaven. Connectors get angry at givers because givers are not reliable. Givers don't understand why it's so important to do everything you say you're going to do when I'm doing everything that I possibly can. I just have too much on my plate. So when you think about it that way, it's a very interesting dynamic between the two. We're going to talk about more of these. By the way, I encourage everybody, throw your questions or your comments into the chat, and we'll discuss those as we go through this. All right, number three, the problem solver. Okay, so the problem solver is the person that makes sense out of things. They clarify things, they simplify things, they take in lots and lots of data at warp speed, and they process it to give us solutions. That's their superpower. They're really good at coming up with options, opportunities, etc., and giving that to the rest of us. What is their kryptonite? When the problem solver does not have enough data, their mind goes mush, 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 melts down, and they go into paralysis. They don't know how to respond. Okay, well, let's see how the problem solver deals with these other guys. First of all, or gals, giver. Problem solvers and givers get along pretty well. The giver is just trying to make a difference, do whatever they can. Problem solver makes sense out of that. It makes sense to do whatever you can. It's all good. There's not a real challenge between the two. But wait a second. What happens with the problem solver and the connector? Well, the connector is all about trust. So it would seem to make sense that the problem solver and connector get along really well. Solutions build trust. That's the problem solver's superpower. Connectors love that, love the solution, all good. Here's the challenge. And there's always both a positive and a challenge between any of these dynamics, which is why when you fully understand it, it's awesome. The problem solver has to figure things out before they communicate. Because the connector is all about trust, they want to know all the details. So problem solvers are under communicators. Connectors are over communicators. And when the problem solver under communicates, it feels like a trust violation to the connector, even though the problem solver does not intend that. So you can see if you run a company that even though the problem solver is not intending to not be trusted, if they're dealing with a connector, they're likely to not be trusted because they don't communicate enough. So a coaching has to happen between the two to say, hey, problem solver, communicate more so you build trust. And I often say to problem solvers, and I happen to be a problem solver, so I understand this fully, what you think of as over communication problem solver is barely enough to the connector. Really important to understand that dynamic. So we move to number 4, the innovator. The innovator is always looking for a better way to do anything and everything, constantly asking questions. Well, what about this? Well, what about that? Well, how about this other thing? What does that look like, etc. On and on to find a better way. Their superpower is improvements, and they're very good at coming up with them. The kryptonite is change for change's sake. So what happens? In other words, they just want to change anything to improve it. Doesn't matter if it upsets morale. Doesn't matter if it's too expensive. That's irrelevant. So what happens when the giver gets together with the innovator? Well, can you imagine the giver is trying to please, 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 do, and as soon as they do the first thing, the innovator comes back and says, "Well, no, I got a new idea. I got a shiny penny. I got a better way to do this." And they come back with that vein. What's going to happen? There's going to be a major riff between the two, especially if they don't understand each other. With the connector, it's even worse because the connector is all about trust and bonds. And when the innovator comes back with yet another idea, because they're just trying to make things better, they're not trying to upset the trust apple cart. They're just trying to make things better. It's going to make the connector feel terrible. Like, we can't trust this guy. This guy's like, he just never settles on anything, blah, or this gal, etc. What about the problem solver? Well, this is a very interesting dynamic, because if the problem solver doesn't understand what the innovator is all about, the innovator comes across as a know-it-all or arrogant, because the problem solver does their best to make sense out of things, to figure it all out, to come up with solutions, and then in comes the innovator with, well, what about this and what about that? How about this other thing? Do you think about this? Do you think about that? And it makes the problem solver feel terrible and not want to be around the innovator. Here's the interesting thing about this dynamic, though. When a problem solver knows that somebody's an innovator, it's so easy for the problem solver to take it as far as they can and then go to the innovator and say, hey, I took it this far. How can we make this better? And the two collaborate together to really make something magnificent. And at the end of the day, that is the thing that is common to all of the mind types. When you understand another person's mind type, you know their superpower, you know their kryptonite, you can create that relationship of strength. You know what they're good for and what their kryptonite is. They know what you're good for and what your kryptonite is, and it makes it super strong. Moving on, the perfectionist, number 5, is all about doing things the right way. There's the right way to do things, and we want to do things right. They're all about systems and organization. They hate chaos. They don't like disorder. They want to instill that all the time. Systems is their superpower. What is their kryptonite? Rigidity. They're sometimes my way or the highway. So how does that play with the others? How does that play with the giver? It's okay. The giver, though, overcommits. So if the giver overcommits and doesn't abide by a system, there's a potential for conflict. It's not huge, but it's definitely there. How about the connector and the perfectionist? Almost like a match made in heaven. Systems, organization, procedure builds trust, reliability, predictability. These guys, gals get along famously because they have the same objective, which is common order and process that makes the rest of the world go around, which is great. All right. How about the problem solver? Not as strong a relationship as the connector, but systems and solutions, their kryptonites, go together. You create solutions that build systems. Systems give rise to solutions. So problem solvers and perfectionists, generally speaking, get along quite well. Then you have the innovator. Now, what does the innovator do? Well, how about this? What about this? What if we change this? How do we make this better? Completely against what the perfectionist stands for, right? The perfectionist wants order, simplicity, predictability, nice, no chaos. But the innovator, it seems like, is always coming in with a new idea that threatens the order, that threatens the organization. As a result, this is a very tough match. Okay, moving on down to number 6, getting to the end here, the rebel. The rebel is the person that thinks outside the box, lives differently than everybody else, constantly challenging everything. Challenge is the superpower of the rebel. And their kryptonite is isolation, because when they challenge everything and everyone, they're going to get pushed aside. So you might think, before I even start with the mind types, that the rebel has the toughest time of dealing with any of the mind types. And you're probably right. There's more conflict potential when the innate nature of an individual is to confront everybody and challenge them. So what's that look like? Well, with the giver, it looks like I'm trying my best, I'm doing my best, and you keep challenging my best. I don't feel all that great. With the connector, far worse, because the connector is all about trust, and the rebel is going to challenge the trust nature of the connector, the very essence of who they are. Problem solver, not so bad, because the problem solver just tries to make sense out of what the rebel is all about. And as they go about that process, they're like, man, you're challenging. Well, I wonder why you're challenging me. Well, what's up with that? I mean, and if they end up, of course, knowing that a person is a rebel, not so bad. However, with the innovator, these two, peas in a pod. Now, you wouldn't think that necessarily, except that they have a common objective. Both are seeking change. The innovator is seeking change to make things better. The rebel is seeking change to challenge the status quo and to come up with something new. Because they're both looking for a newness in their own way and for different reasons, the innovator and the rebel get along really well. Unlike the perfectionist and the rebel, because the perfectionist, as we said, all about systems and order and no chaos. In comes the rebel wanting to challenge anything and everything. Obviously, major conflict potential there. And finally, we have the master. The master's big, huge brainiacs. Hubert is a master. You ask Hubert anything, he kind of knows about it. A lot of things he knows a great deal about it, but almost nothing he knows nothing about, which is kind of remarkable. Me, I'm very happy saying I have no clue about what you're talking about. That just never even enters Hubert's vocabulary. They love to go deeper, especially on things that they care about. Superpower of the master is depth. Sometimes they like to go down rabbit holes way deep, which causes their kryptonite to be complexity. They like to complicate things. So how's it go with the others? The master and the giver get along just fine. Giver's trying to do the best they can, whatever they can contribute to. The master's trying to do that also in their own way by going deeper on things. Different perspective, same objective, works out well. Connectors. Connectors work well with masters as long as they're in a space where the master is talking about what they know about and exhibiting that they know enough to be trusted. When the master says, oh, I really don't know that much about that, but let me tell you what I know, which is generally way more than most of us know, it causes friction with the connector because well, why are you telling me if you don't really know about it? Why are you telling? But they actually, masters do know most about most things, which is amazing. How about the master and the problem solver? So they get along just fine as long as there's an understanding and agreement between them to communicate. Because the problem solver loves to simplify things, clarify things, and make sense out of them. The master loves to go super deep. So sometimes the master can run way out ahead of the problem solver with their big, huge brainiac brains. And the problem solver has to rein themselves in or rein the master in and say, wait, hold on, man. Help me with that. That's way too, I don't get it. I don't get it. And Hubert and I have this dynamic. And we like to walk together. He's in New York, I'm in Florida, but we go on walks to figure stuff out. I frequently say, bro, whoa. You lost me. I don't get that. Break it down for me. Didn't get that. And we have to go backwards so that I begin to process in my own way to make sense of the genius mind that Hubert has. How about innovators and masters? Oh man, this is not a good combo. The master goes deeper on something, knows a great deal about something, and in comes shiny penny person. What about this? What about this? What about the other thing? Very difficult combination unless they really understand and embrace each other's mind type. Then you have masters and perfectionists. There's a little bit of friction here because the master always wants to go deeper, but really they do it for self-satisfaction more than anything. The perfectionist wants a system. There's a bit of a conflict, but it's not huge. And then you have the master and the rebel, and this is a super interesting dynamic, and I'm going to ask Hubert to speak about this in just a second, because the rebel wants to challenge the status quo and come up with something new. The master wants to go deeper on the things that they care about. So it's not exactly the same direction, but it's also not entirely divergent. So Hubert, maybe you could speak about that dynamic of the master and the rebel.
Thank you. Awesome presentation so far. Love it. In my experience, I've often gotten, and I'd like to know from Doreen and some of the others here if they've had similar feedback. Rebels often think masters are super cool. And they're like, wow, you're really into such and such. And they just appreciate and love the depth that will go into some seemingly random topic. The rebel is attributing that towards, oh yeah, he's going anti-mainstream and look how he's, rebelling against something by really deep diving into something that was popular 200 years ago or whatever it is. And the master is just doing it to master it. The rebel thinks he's doing it to be cool. So we often get along, fabulously, but the intentions are different. But never mind that, they just love each other regardless. So, but that kind of relationship often develops for unknown reasons, unintended consequences between many of the mind types.
That's exactly right. And the whole key for everybody on here, especially if you're new, and I know I see a couple new people here, people I don't even know. When you understand your own mind type, that's the beginning. Understanding other people's mind type is the next step. And then understanding the interplay between your mind type and theirs is the way you create relationships that are so deep and so profound. You end up in a space of, man, I don't necessarily understand you, but I love you. I don't understand you. I never will, but I get where you're coming from, which is such a much better space. There's no self-betrayal feeling that goes on when you understand somebody else's mind type, right? So the question came in the chat from Dorina saying, what if somebody's a giver primary and connector secondary? So again, you can do these kind of combos all day long, and it's always relatively straightforward when you really kind of dig. If you're a giver primary and connector secondary, that means that you really want to make a difference, add value, etc. And one of the ways that you do that is by building lots of trust. there's no conflict between those two. Imagine this as a different kind of a scenario. What if somebody is a giver primary and a rebel secondary? What does that mean? They absolutely want to make a difference, contribute, and add value, but only in their own unique way as the rebel, right? So when you get that dynamic and play with it a little bit, there's the why. What is my why? My why is to make a difference, to add value. And how do I go about doing that? Often it's by building trust. So that's the primary giver, secondary connector combination. Gene gives us a comment. I'm a problem solver. My best friend of 20 plus years is a hardcore connector. That means trust is everything. We've had to build rules for our friendship sandbox because there have been so many issues about me not having all the details my bestie wants and needs. Lots of open communication to find a balance that works for both of us. And this is where, again, getting to that place of understanding this dynamic is so powerful. So what would I say to a problem solver? Not necessarily Gene, although love you, Gene, any problem solver. I would say if you're dealing with a connector, which by the way is the relationship I have with my spouse and life partner, if you will. If you're a problem solver, over communicate. Give them way more details and information than you think any human being could ever need. And they're going to say, okay, that's about just enough to make me satisfied. They're not going to be sated. They're not going to be, oh, wow, I love the fact that I got so much details, because your idea of a ton of information is barely enough for that person. We're very blessed that my wife, Kathy, runs a lot of the detail stuff of our operation. Why? Because she loves it. That's what she does. When I know the details, I can trust the situation. When I don't know the details, I can't trust a damn thing. That's why if you're dealing with a connector and you're a different mind type, that is what you want. You want to give them extra information, extra details so that they feel comfortable. So I'll share with you a secret. Just in case you email me anything, when I respond to you, I'm probably blind copying my wife, just letting you know. So don't say bad stuff about her because you'll get me in trouble. Now, why am I sharing? Do I really believe that she reads all those emails? I honestly don't know. But we have an agreement. Until she tells me you don't need to copy me on these anymore, I'm going to keep blind copying her. Why? Because that's what makes her feel whole and satisfied and not frustrated. So I get a lot of emails every day. I don't know how many you get, but it's way up there in number. And to think about how many blind copies there are, and I have absolutely no clue how many she ever looks at. I don't. That's not the point. My point is my communication to her. I trust you completely, and therefore I will copy you. And until you tell me to stop, I will keep copying you. And after a while, on certain accounts that I have to deal with in our agency, she'll say, hey, you don't need to copy me on this anymore. And then I'll stop. But until those words come out of her mouth, she's getting copied. Ray says, that's my experience as well. I have to over communicate with my partner, and she gets frustrated when I don't. My brother, trust me, the more you do it, the better the relationship, because it's a feeling. It's not a logical thing. My wife gets a lot of emails on her own. My overloading her inbox is not about logic. It's about the limbic brain feeling and helping her feel she is 100% trusted. Anything that I have to deal with, you're welcome to know about. And until she tells me otherwise, I'm going to keep sending.
That's awesome. And I would like to just complete the through line for everybody, because I know that most of us are here interested in marketing. And, in preparation for this particular meeting, I promised everybody that we'd explicitly tie it to showing how understanding your mind type can help you create limbic messaging in your marketing. So originally, I'm going to ask you, put you on the spot. And I know this is a favorite example, but we haven't brought it out in a long time. But Could you demonstrate for us, please, how givers love causes and how you can use that in marketing something like water? Okay, so give us a messaging that would be awesome about causes and being a giver when it comes to marketing water.
Okay, so what do most water advertisements sound like? They sound something like this. At ABC Water, we have the finest water from the deepest spring, with all the antioxidants, vitamins, and minerals you need to hydrate your body, especially after a long workout. Want to buy some? In other words, they focus on the what, not the why. So they're targeting the neocortex non-decision-making part of the brain, as opposed to the limbic decision-making part of the brain that's going to get you an affirmative answer in your favor. So now imagine that I'm a giver and I am the founder of Our Water, right? Sounds like a giver, Our Water, right? So it might sound like this. At Our Water, we believe in making a difference in everyone's lives and contributing however we can. We have the deepest water from the purest stream with all the antioxidants, minerals, and vitamins you need to hydrate your body, even after a long workout. Want to join the cause? You can feel the difference. And oh, by the way, it's not as though everybody's going to buy into Our Water. It's not like everybody feels like contributing. It's not like there are some people who just want the cheapest. But let me ask you a question. Do you want, as a client, the person who just wants the cheapest? And the answer is a very hard no, you don't. You want the people who believe what you believe, that Our Water is all about a cause. Because if you get those kind of people, they're going to champion you. They're going to help you. They're going to pay their bills on time. It's so important to be able to connect with people on a limbic level, not a thinking level, so that you put yourself united with them and you can move forward together.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And just to complete the thought for everybody, the authentic messaging, such as that demonstrated by Ridgely right now, the ability for you to communicate in an authentic, sincere way about yourself that comes across gracefully is very easily accommodated if you simply choose something about your own mind type and you state that. Because it's genuine, it's sincere, and they're like, oh, cool. When you don't offer something for them to understand about you and respect, it's you're not connecting. When you're doing it, it's amazing. So, Richard, can you also complete the thought by explaining communication keywords and how there are certain vocabulary words that are tied to specific mind types?
For sure. So think about this. For everyone watching or listening to this, your favorite word, or at least the word that influences you the most, both key elements, is your name. If I say Frank, Hubert does not respond. But if I say Hubert, even if he's paying attention way over there, he's suddenly, oh, yeah, what? Your name is the most important thing, most influential word in your lexicon. Now, what if there were other words that were almost as influential as your name? And there are, depending on your mind type. So using Hubert's example of the giver, for the giver, the words are make a difference, add value, contribute, right? For the connector, it's trust, bonds, relationships. For the problem solver, it's make sense, simplify, clarify, break it down. For the innovator, it's better, improvement, innovation. For the perfectionist, it's right way, correct, system. For the rebel, it's going to be different, alternative, diverse. For the master, it's going to be deeper, complex, elegant, sovereign. So when you know these keywords, you know how to have ninja powers of influence over someone as soon as you understand their mind type and know what their mind type is. And obviously, that's something that can be discovered in a conversation if you know how to do that too. So it gives you crazy ability to connect and move your agenda, whatever that is, to get somebody to join your tribe, sign up for your newsletter, buy your product, set up a call, whatever it is, as long as you can understand what their mind type is and what their keywords are so that you can use them in communication.
And even when you cannot or do not know what their mind type is, when you speak about yourself, okay, so originally I'm going to give away one of our secret hacks, okay? The power of a phrase, these are limbic messages that come in certain formats. I'm just going to talk about one of them. I believe. If you say, I believe such and such and such and such, and sprinkle in some of those communication keywords that originally just gave, you create an awesome statement about yourself that can't be refuted because the person says, oh, that's what Hubert believes. That's what Ridgely believes. So Ridgely, what are some I believe statements that might include some of those keywords that you mentioned?
Well, again, it depends on the mind type, right? So if you're talking about the giver, you're going to say, we really believe in making a difference and having an impact with everything that we do. And the way we go about that is da 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 da. That's going to resonate as super authentic and genuine if it comes from a giver. If it comes from a connector at the beginning of a statement establishing a new kind of connection, it's going to sound like something like, well, at our shop, we're all about bonds and relationships and making sure that we do everything that we're going to say that we say that we're going to do. And the way we go about that is, if it's the problem solver, it's going to be, we truly believe in making sense out of things and simplifying it and breaking it down so that we can da 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 and so on. And that's going to come across so well because it's fully authentic to you and your mind type all the way through all of the 7 mind types. No one is going to dispute that. And those people who feel that authenticity are going to raise their hand in your favor.
Exactly. And one last thing I'm going to ask you, contrast that with the usual chest beating kind of I type of thing that you usually see in marketing.
Yeah, no, it's super crazy, right? Because the moment you make a declarative statement, you've already lost. We've been in business for 30 years and have the absolute best service in all of this area, da da da. You immediately invite the thought of, oh, really? According to who? Says what? Maybe you guys are just old, da da da. As opposed to a limbic message that says, we believe in excellent service and going the extra mile. And the way we go about that is da 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 da. Now it's just a belief system that someone says, well, I believe in excellent service. I believe in going the extra mile. And they're bought into your program. It ups your conversions. It makes that connection stronger and ultimately gives you a chance to serve more people, as in make more sales.
Excellent. Thank you. It's super, super critical difference between those approaches, folks. And there are some subtleties to expressing it well, but I think that is the heart of authentic limbic messaging and marketing. Thank you, Richard.
All right. So let's put me on the hot seat just for fun. And I'm not really putting me on the hot seat. I'm putting any of us on the hot seat. I'm happening to choose me, right? Many times we have a need to express who we are to the marketplace. And I see lots of people, Anna, Bruce, Dorina, Art, Jean. I see Linda on here, Monica. I see Ray, Scott, lots of people who are in the coaching or guru space where they teach something. So why wouldn't you want to use AI and what we teach in our library to put yourself on the hot seat to see what AI comes up with that expresses who you are, and then you get to use AI to tweak you. How about that? That sounds like a pretty kind of a funky idea. And I thought to myself, we should just try to do that and really have some fun with it. So what I'm going to do, as usual, is I'm going to go to, I think we'll use, for this particular purpose, we'll go through, rather than using some of our funky, groovy tools, we'll go through the entire process. And I will, first off, jump into Chat GPT. And by the way, you can choose any of the tools, whether this is, Bard or Claude or any of the other ones that are out there. Soon we'll be teaching how to use answer engines as well. And of course, you can use our tools that if you're in our mastermind as a member, you have access to our crazy copy generating, image generating, etc. tools. So first I'm going to start out with prompt creator, and I'm going to say, all right, I want you to do this work for me. And AI is going to go through a process where it's going to say, okay, what is the prompt all about? Now, I may need to log back in because I've been out for a little while. Hold on 1 second while I do that. Talk, Hubert, while I'm figuring this out real quick. I may have to log back out and log back in.
Yeah, and so folks, late breaking news, ChatGPT's latest model 4.0 just had an update release and it's rolling out now. I think most of us have it already. Super fast, big improvements under the hood, and it's as good as 4.0 already was. This new version is even better. So late breaking news.
Very, very fun. Okay, so let me go back in here and we are into the tool. And this is prompt creator, my favorite prompt. And I'm going to say, you are a direct response copywriter, and marketing expert. You have been tasked with creating an intro reel script for author Ridgely Goldsborough. Spell my own name wrong. Okay, fine. And put yourself in that space and say, coach so-and-so, leader such and such, guru, whatever, that is about 1 minute long. Please go find out. By the way, I've never done this. This is just an idea. So I want to see how this works. You never know how it's going to work. Everything you can on the internet about. Now, if you have a nefarious past, this might be a dangerous thing. I'm not sure. What do you think? You were if you right? I mean, I don't know. There might be some stuff out there. Oh, look at this. A 3 rating. That is the worst rating I've ever gotten in my life to start a prompt. Okay. So clearly we're not doing all that well. So what does it say? It says, give
Now,
me.
folks, I'm sorry to interrupt Ridgely, but let me just for those that haven't seen Ridgely use this prompt creator yet, what Ridgely right now is doing with AI is he's having AI help him create a prompt which asks AI to do something. So with AI, it's definitely garbage in, garbage out. And so the query or the prompt that you ask for, Ridgely's using his tool to iterate through the creation of a prompt so that he has a great prompt that he can submit to actually get the output.
Okay, so it starts out with suggestions, brief main achievements, most notable books or speaking engagements. Okay, say Ridgely has written 20 books, spoken in 35 countries, and his best book is called I'm just picking one just for fun. Great ones. Ask the next question. Consider adding a tagline or key message that sums up his philosophy or approach to personal, business, and development. His personal philosophy. You can say this about yourself, right? So I'm doing this very quickly. I would take a lot more time normally, but just to do this quickly is to always be seeking and learning. You could go into much more depth than that. Think about visual and auditory elements that might accompany the script. Should the tone be inspirational, motivational, or authoritative? The tone should be inspirational, fun, cutting edge, and authoritative. This is kind of ridiculous. It makes me feel weird writing this all about myself, Hubert. I don't know about this, man. Do you know about any specific books or achievements? I did that already. What the tone? Who exactly is the target audience? The target audience is business owners and C-suite executives who would hire Ridgely to speak for their companies. I'm just, I could do a lot of other things, but we're just going to make it this way to see what we get. All right, here we go. Memory updated. 7 out of 10 from 3 to 7. Okay, now where are we going? Start with a suggestion. Start with a powerful opening line that grabs attention, such as a quote from the great ones. Love that idea. So, cool. Use a quote if you can. Next one. Structure the script to flow from achievements to philosophy and finally a call to action. Love the proposed structure. The CTA should be to contact Ridgely about using his services. Okay. Consider including a line that speaks directly to the challenges or aspirations of business owners and C-suite executives, making it clear why Ridgely is the perfect speaker for their events. And a line to be included. And obviously, team, you're going to spend a lot more time thinking about this than doing this in real time at warp speed like I'm doing, right? You could spend a lot of effort into it to really get something great. We're going to see what I get out of this. Never done this before. Would be when you know your why and the mind type created by your why, you have absolute clarity and it turbocharges your success. That's not a great line, by the way. It's just something to kind of show the process, right? Do I have a preferred structure? No, I'm just gonna hit it. See where we get from that. 9 out of 10. Bam! Look at that. Powerful quotes from the great ones. Briefly highlight the achievements. 20 books. Philosophy. Suggestions. Consider using the dynamic language in the CTA to make it more compelling. Absolutely. Make the CTA more compelling through dynamic language. And then that's it. Let's go with that. See what happens.
9.5. You're up to 9.5.
There we go. So when I get to a 9.5, I'm generally going to be fairly happy with that, right? I don't need to go too much further. I can go with a 9.5. Let's just go with a yes, see what it comes up with, and then we can tweak it from there. So we're going to go because at the bottom, by the way, so look at this now. Let's take a look at the output. You are a direct response copywriter or marketing expert. You've been tasked with creating a 1-minute intro reel script for author Ridgely Goldsborough. The script should emphasize his extensive experience, including writing 20 books, speaking 35 countries, highlight his best-known work, the great ones, weave in his personal philosophy of always seeking and learning, use a tone that's inspirational, fun, cutting-edge, and authoritative to appeal to business. This is good stuff. There's an opening, achievements, philosophy, call to actions, etc. And we're going to run the prompt. And then I'm going to show you something about how to make this way better. Here we go. Running the prompt right now. Here we go. True greatness is not in what you achieve, but in who you become along the journey. Right out of the great ones. I'm sure it's in there. I don't remember that quote particularly, but it's all good. Meet Ridgely Goldsborough, a thought leader whose words have inspired countless minds across the globe with 20 books and da-da-da-da. Driven by a relentless pursuit of knowledge, Ridgely's philosophy is simple. always be seeking, always be learning. He believes that when you know your why and the mind type created by your why, gain absolute clarity and it turbocharges your success. Elevate your business to the next level. Reach out to Ridgely today and discover how his insights can unlock your true potential. Don't just follow the path, create it. Contact Ridgely, blah, blah. Okay. I think we can agree this is pretty good. Not, I mean, yeah, it is what most intro reels look like, right? They look like an online resume. But I don't want an online resume. That's what everybody does, right? So now let's tie it into a business objective. Here we go. Great. Let me go down here. Great. Nice work. However, this sounds like an online resume. What is needed is something that acts as a hook to Ridgely's programs about discovering your mind type. Give me another version that is entirely driven to hook people from the beginning, make it all about them, and the CTA to talk to Ridgely ASAP because he is super busy. Let's see what happens here. Much more specific, right? Because we don't want an online resume. We want something that drives your business objective. Now it's going down in my prompt. Look at that. And that happens, right? There's not enough data and information. So what are we going to do? What would you prefer the quote to be a question to challenge the audience or a bold statement that piques curiosity? Definitely a bold statement that piques curiosity. Are there any specific pain points? Yes. Pain points are lack of connection and trust that in turn hurts sales. Should the script include mention of limited availability to create even more urgency in terms of limited availability? This should be done very tactfully and softly. See what happens. Again, you see what I'm doing, right? Everybody, if you're watching, this is AI crafting something. Bam, back up to a 9. Right? So we're playing the game. We're iterating over and over, slowly, softly, to get what we want out of the tool. This is the iterative process. And you should do that. You can do this with yourself. Okay, so here we go. We got a 9 now. Let's finalize any remaining details and I'll craft the script. Okay, let's take a look at the final questions. Would you like the bold statement to focus on the consequences of not understanding their mind type or the potential gains from discovering it? What do you think, Hubert?
I'm a potential gains kind of guy.
Okay. Then I'm going the other way just for fun. Let's focus on the consequences of not understanding one's mind type.
Meanwhile, that's a pretty sophisticated question and clarification. I mean, it obviously understands the different modalities of advertising, the aspirational one versus the fear-based, pain avoidance method.
Should the script include any specific examples or scenarios that illustrate the impact of understanding one's mind type on business success? Yes. Let's include scenarios. Now, obviously, you would have to give the tool that, because you don't want AI to create a false testimonial or a false story about you. That's bad karma. Don't do that. Bad idea. Do you have a preference of how the soft mention of limited availability should be phrased? In terms of the soft mention, I'm just going to making this up, right? I'm making this up. Obviously, if you're doing this for yourself, you're going to spend more time. You're going to flesh it out. Let's do it along the lines of in as much as Ridgely speaks all over the world, you want to get on his calendar ASAP. Again, making this all up, but let's see what happens. Because again, it might take me backwards on the prompt and we'll see what we get. Nope, 9.5 out of 10. I didn't think it was going to, but. And so now we've got all this. We've gone through multiple iterations. We're trying to make a more focused intro reel that actually drives the behavior that you want to set you up. In other words, what I'm thinking here is my intro reel is not, oh, Ridgely's amazing and he's spoken in 35 countries, written 25. No, I want the people to think it's all about them and what they're going to get out of this, right? So let's run it and see what it comes up with. It may not be good enough for me yet. Now we're talking. Look at this. Are you struggling to build genuine connections and trust in your business? The reason might be simpler than you think. You don't know your mind type. Now, that's what I'm talking about. 5 references to them in the very first sentence. That totally strikes someone where they live. Imagine this. Your sales team is pushing hard, but conversions are flat. Clients aren't responding and trust feels like a different memory. The problem isn't your product or service. It's that you're speaking a language your clients don't understand because you haven't unlocked your mind type. Or picture this, a company leader who finally discovers their mind type, suddenly the pieces fall into place. They're connecting with clients on a deeper level, rebuilding trust, and sales start to soar. That's the power of your knowing your mind type. Bam, philosophy. Ridgely Goldsborough spent years perfecting the art of identifying and leveraging mind types to help business leaders like you. When you know your why and the mind type created by your why, you have absolute clarity and it turbocharges your success. Don't let another day go by without understanding your mind type. Subtle, very subtle. In as much as Ridgely speaks all over the world, you want to get on his calendar ASAP. Reach out today and discover how this powerful insight can transform your business. Of course, we could go further, but you can see how much better this is than the online resume that we started with because it's all about them. Hubert Lee?
I love it. I think it's an awesome, awesome start. And I'm gratified to see that with each improvement of the AI models here, my worry about the clunky languaging that you used to get is receding with every single model update. I'm very much relieved.
Yeah, so think about this for yourself. Imagine doing this yourself. We get some great comments here. I've never seen below 7. The 3 is pretty impressive, Richie. Thanks, Gene. You're
Yeah,
right.
that was a good busting of his chops, Gene. That was good.
Right? And it's very helpful. It's one of these things where if you think about you're presenting yourself to the world, you have an idea of what that looks like, right? Now, I could have popped in 5 or 6 of our websites or whatever, but we didn't. Just very straightforward, very direct, and ask the tool, give me a great reflection in this way. Oh, that's not what I'm looking for. Give it to me in this way. Tweak it over here in this way. And when you do this, you're iterating continuously. It's only going to get better. Now, interestingly, I spent this morning, because I have to do a new intro reel, that's what gave me this idea. walking and really thinking about, okay, what would I say? How would I say it, etc. Now I can take what I thought of this morning, integrate it into this thread, and make it even better because now it's not just me. It's me plus AI, the biggest brain that has ever been created to come up with something incredible so that when I start a speech, I have 3 major speeches in September. When I start one of those, the intro reel is all about them. It's all about the hook. It's all about tying the intro reel, not about Ridgely, about what they're going to get from hearing Ridgely and why they want to lean forward and listen a little deeper to what Ridgely's going to say, so that after that, they want to show up and talk to me about what services we have with our agency so we can grow our business. So I hope that was valuable. It's kind of
This,
fun
I
for
think,
me. I was a little nervous, actually. I must tell you, I was a
well,
little
I
nervous.
think this was awesome. You blew my mind on this. I would like in turn to richly blow your mind and hopefully the minds of our viewers here. So folks, so Ridgely doesn't even know what I'm about to say here. Okay. So I have been in the deep weeds of redoing the whole Mind Types website. Okay, the whole ecosystem for the partner attraction formula mastermind. We're rebranding, we're doing everything. Okay. Now I know some of you on the call have recently joined us, and so there's going to be, it's going to be seamless to you. Suddenly, you'll be introduced into the new environment. For those that have joined us in the past, we'll give you an upgrade pack to it and all of this. But I have created Ridgely, and actually I did mention this to you in an email late last night. There's a new AI feature Ridgely that I've been working the bugs out on, that I thought I'd take this scenario and run it. And Ridgely, I'm going to show it to you and sneak peek it for the folks here. And I think it's going to blow your mind. And this is going to be our flagship AI partner in the new Mind Types environment.
Because we call all of our AI tools partners, by the way, team, if you're
Yes.
not, if you're new or have never seen this before, all of our AI tools, we call them partners. We believe that we're all in partnership here.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so I am now going to show my screen. Now, okay, so Ridgely, our new AI tool is called PAF Offers. Okay. This tool, before I show it to you, takes basically everything that we know about online marketing, and it asks for your business idea, and it gives you a starting point and produces basically everything that you need to create an online offer to really put at the top of your funnel. Okay. Now I know that's a big statement, but let me just show you what I did here. Okay. So let me
Code right there. Okay.
I have all kinds of stuff here that's going on. So let me just, you guys are seeing how my brain works now. So hold on. Okay, here we go. Here's my offer idea. This is based on what Ridgely just showed you. Okay, so I typed this into the tool. Create an online course that teaches speakers and coaches how to create compelling marketing messaging and communication deliverables that are impactful and high converting, include use of AI tools. So Ridgely, I based this on what you just did for yourself, right? With the thinking that, oh, okay, well, if Ridgely can do this for himself, we could certainly come up with some sort of idea and make it a business to kind of offer this to other people. Okay. All right. So now with that as the prompt, let me find. Okay, so I ran it, right? And here's what it generated originally. This was literally, I entered that phrase in and I pressed the button and it came up with all of these things here. Okay. So it came up with an offer called Authentic Communication Mastery. And it includes all of these things. The branding toolkit, all of this stuff that speakers and coaches might like. Okay. And it tells me why this might be a good offer. Okay, cool. But then let's kind of see the deliverables. Okay. Here's the content of the offer. And remember, folks, I just pressed the button. Okay. All right.
This is ridiculous.
It tells you everything that you might want to consider as a feature. Right here are the templates you want to offer. It's even got like a social media content scheduler because Ridgely is so big on like, editorial calendars. email tools, AI tools, workshops, all of the different kinds of trainings, presentation templates, all of these ideas, right? But then let's get into like the hooks of the offer. And remember, folks, we just pressed the button. Good, bad, or indifferent, you now have a running start on all of these ideas.
This is
Unlock the
insane.
power of your voice with AI-powered tools. Transform your brand. Now, again, this is all to speakers and coaches based on entering that idea that I came up with originally just on the spot. Boost your
Gene
impact
is
with high
having a heart attack right now. I just want to, well, hold on. We got to tell Gene to breathe. Gene, breathe, breathe. I saw you. Gene needs to breathe here.
Look at this. Elevate your campaigns with our impactful email guide. Craft content like a pro with AI-driven creation tools. Originally, we got some good stuff to offer here. We didn't even know it. Sales page headlines is the next category. I'm going to click on that. All right. So here are some headlines.
This is crazy.
Look, are your presentations lacking impact? Transform your presentation skills with our stunning design templates. Achieve high impact communication with our speech templates and training.
This is ridiculous.
Right? Okay. Offer description. Here's what the offer's about. Here's who it's for. Here's why they need it. Here's the outcome it's going to give.
Imagine what this would look like if you put in a really comprehensive description of what you need.
And we haven't even limbified it yet with our other tools originally. So this originally, I'm thinking of this as the top one where you put your idea in and you hit a button and then you get all of this stuff and then you take it to our other tools to hone it. So here's an email sequence. Alternate
Subject line, multiple subject line for split testing. Insane. Right? This is ridiculous.
Master the art of storytelling, enhance your public speaking with high impact templates. This is all about creating the desire, right? And then here's a video script next. Unlock your communication. Here's the opening scene, struggling with communication, blah, blah, blah. Right?
One prompt, Gene, one prompt. Yes.
One prompt. Yes. Lead magnet ideas. Look at this.
I love it. It's so fun.
Here are 5 different lead magnets. Bonus builder. Here are some bonuses we could bundle with our offer, Rich. And then look, high ticket upsells. You can do a consultation. You can do a workshop. You can do the premium speech template package. All of these upsells. Advanced social media strategy session. Email campaign audit. Wow. Okay. Launch ideas. Now, originally, here's where we get into the nuts and bolts. You can do a webinar launch. You can do a social media challenge. You can do a VIP access launch. Originally, that's your whole thing about like, oh, check out my Zoom video, become a VIP. Influencer partnership launch. That's a JV launch. You could tease with content. Webinar outline. Okay, Rich, let's say a JV wants to do a webinar with you. Look, here are blank slides. Hey, folks, welcome to the webinar. Here's what we're going to do. Here's my story, why authenticity matters. Originally, is this blowing your mind, originally?
100%, dude. This is like sick.
Right? I mean, these are the slides you're going to show on your webinar. I mean, like, holy smokes, right? Okay, now here, Rich, you're going to love this one because Richley and I cut our teeth launching. A day-by-day launch calendar, Rich. How do you like them apples?
I think that's pretty awesome. I'm just saying.
Facebook ads, YouTube ads, Facebook retargeting ads, pricing strategy. Here's some thoughts about different levels. We could offer starter, professional, enterprise. Rich, this is having a sophisticated marketing partner giving you advice right at the top of you creating your offer.
Mm-hmm.
Here are some, refund prevention type things. Here's market analysis, right? Here's a marketing analysis report. And then finally, here's a report card and it scores, as you saw in Ridgely's prompt, we're big believers in scoring ourselves. And so for this offer, here are the different scores. So as you create new ideas and present to these, you should look for the ones that are all green. Ridgely, now does that blow your mind? This is going to be at the core of our new Mind Types Mastermind.
This is insane. So,
And folks, Ridgely has not seen this yet. I teased him
that's
with
awesome. That's freaking
I
epic, man. Now,
I
is
teased
this
him last night with I always do this, folks. I I don't like to spend the money because I want to give my partners a heads up. So I sent late last night an email money, hey, I'm spending money email to Ridgely and Kathy last night. But then I like to follow that up by showing them what I spent the money on. So originally, this is what I spent the money on.
that's insane, bro. That's just absolutely insane, dude. That's just like the craziest thing I've ever seen in life.
Yeah, so
Um,
folks, we're gonna be dripping out more information about that. We're gonna be launching relatively shortly, so please stay tuned about that.
all right, Hubert, that was a mind blower. I'm excited. That's just great. But that
Awesome.
doesn't mean you get to not end this without some good
Oh
jokes.
yeah. Okay, so tell the folks when we're meeting again, and I will close it out with
All right, next week
stuff.
we are hanging out on Wednesday, the 14th at 2 o'clock Eastern, 11 Pacific, 2 o'clock Eastern, 11 Pacific on the 14th. Mind Types Mastermind is going to be epic as usual. If you have something you want us to help you with, send an email to support@partnerattractionformula.com, support@partnerattractionformula.com, and we will be set to jet.
Exactly. Okay. Well, the weather was the theme joke of the day originally, so I have a couple for you here as we go out. Originally, what did one raindrop say to the other?
What, bro?
I'm cracking myself up. Two's company, three's a cloud. Originally, why did the weather want privacy?
Why is that, bro?
Because it was changing. Okay, one last chance. One last chance. Why did the clouds stay home? Why did the clouds stay home? Originally, you're gonna get this one.
Why is that?
Why did the clouds stay home? It was feeling under the weather.
Okay, that was actually pretty funny,
You
bro.
gotta tell,
All
you
right,
gotta
bro.
tell these to your grandkids.
Love you all. Have a great, great rest of your week and weekend. See you next week. Awesome stuff. Thanks so much, everybody. Ciao for now. Bye bye.